First, I would like to express my deep gratitude for the honor which you have done me by inviting me to address this valedictory session of the National Conference on the important subject of integration of yoga in school education, which you are organizing with the support of Ministry of Ayush and Gordhan Das Saxeria Foundation. First, I must extend my heartfelt greetings to all those who are associated with this great institution, Kaivalyadhama, because you are now celebrating significant milestone of 100 years of service to humanity. The centenary of Kaivalyadhama reminds us of how this noble endeavor was initiated in 1924 by Swargiya Swami Kaivalyanand. The founding of Yoga Mimamsa in 1924, India's first research journal on yoga, and the Gordhan Das Saxeria College of Yoga and Cultural Synthesis in 1951 are landmarks in the history of this institution. If tradition of service, and it is not a question of if, Swami Vivekananda, the modern interpreter of ancient Indian thought, famously had said that India has only two national ideals, that is service and renunciation, seva or tyag. Intensify her in these two channels, the rest will take care of itself. That is the importance of seva. The concept of seva to us Indians, this is the two great ideals. It is one of them. So if that is the hallmark of the greatness of an organization, then the record and reputation of Kaivalyadhama is truly inspiring. We are all aware of how on 31st August, in fact just now when I was going through the history gallery, there you have posted the printed speech of Shri H.V. Kamath, who, while speaking in the Constituent Assembly on 31st August 1949, heaped praises on this institute while he was pleading for government support to scientific research in yogic studies. He referred to Kaivalyadhama as the only institute carrying out scientific research in spiritual field. He said, and I quote, "With the advent of freedom and the dawn of Indian Renaissance, I have no doubt in my mind that our spiritual culture, our ancient culture, must be revived not in one direction but in all possible directions." Referring to Swami Kaivalyanand as the pioneer of scientific research in yoga, he quoted Shri Aurobindo, who had said, "West is turning to the East for some light and guidance. And if the East fails the West today, then the world is doomed." This is the moment to recall the dedication of Swami Kaivalyadhama, his efforts to revolutionize the global outlook towards ancient Indian tradition manifested in the establishment of scientific research department here in 1924. We know that yoga is a magnificent legacy that Indian civilization has bequeathed to the humanity. And in modern world, it has become a splendid icon of India's soft power, which has enhanced global trust in the Indian concept of wellness. The global popularity of yoga has been on the increase ever since we began the celebration of International Yoga Day on the 21st June 2015. The direct participation and leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji has attracted global involvement in the celebration as well as the practice of yoga. Yoga there are so many definitions and so much has been written about yoga that if you start cataloging it, then it is impossible to include everything in a speech of, even if you speak for hours, it will not be possible to catalog all those definitions. But we must remember that Indian tradition normally avoids definitions because it is very difficult to define these profound concepts. Indian tradition goes mostly by the symptoms. If you see these symptoms, then it means it. If you see these symptoms, it means this. Even dharma, we try to understand more by the lakshana, which have been given in detail. So how if the lakshana itself will fill a voluminous book, how is it possible to define it in few words? Therefore, Indian tradition always goes by describing symptoms of something. And the best description of the yoga, to my mind, not that this is, you may have a different opinion, but according to me, it is the last shlok of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, where it has been said, Yatra Yogeshvara Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara, Tatra Shrir Vijyo, Bhuti Dhruva, Nitir Batir Mam. Wherever we hear Yogeshwar Krishna, the contemplative power, reflection, meditation, use of intelligence and reason, use of which ultimately culminates into wisdom. This is only a Yogeshvara Krishna. It means all that. It is not just an individual. Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara. Arjuna again is symbol of action. Mere thought is not enough. Mere wisdom, mere intelligence and reason is not enough. You must also develop the capability to translate into action. So Krishna symbolizes wisdom, contemplation, intelligence, reason, and Arjun symbolizes action. So it has been asserted from this, as I said earlier, this is a symptomatic description. We can understand what is meant by yoga. The combination of yoga, wisdom and action, then it has been asserted that there is no doubt that it leads to success, it leads to prosperity, it leads to all positive things. And the composer of this shlok says, this is my definite opinion, nitir matir mam. To me, this is the epitome of, because if we want to, that is what Indian tradition is. Try to understand the nature of things from the symptoms. Because the whole thing cannot be described in the form of a definition which should consist of only few words. So therefore go by the symptoms. Patanjali, one of the great writers of ancient India, he wrote 3 books. One on grammar, one on medicine, and the third on yoga. He made out that human being is a whole, cannot be viewed in parts. Mind, body and spirit. These 3 things cannot be dealt with in isolation. They cannot be separated from each other. So he says that man will be healthier only if all these 3 things work in harmony and are in a healthy spirit. In other words, he said, serenity of mind was due to yoga and clarity of speech was due to grammar. As the mantra says, Yogena chittasya padena vacham. Yoga purifies the mind, enabling one to use words with perfection. Even, if I remember correctly, Confucius was asked by one of his disciples, what is the essence of action? Confucius said, essence of action consists in the use of right words. Disciples were perplexed. They said, what action has got to do with words? He said, if you cannot use proper words to describe a situation, which means you do not understand that situation, that problem. And if you do not have full understanding of the problem, how can you think of resolving the problem? Same thing Confucius said. So the term, it is true that the term yoga has been used in different meanings. The Yoga Sutra tells us that before we proceed higher up, practice the exercise of contemplation, dhyan. and other similar things. We must have the physical fitness. Again, something comes to my mind. Sorry, it is becoming a bit longer. A young student came to Swami Vivekananda. He was looked very thin and pale looking. On the face of it, looked very unhealthy. And he sought Swamiji's advice how to study Gita and understand its provisions. Swami told him that you don't waste your time on the study of Gita, you go and play football. First, you should improve your physical fitness. Then it will become much easier for you to study Gita. He was not discouraging him. He was telling him that this is a prerequisite. You should have a healthy body. Then your mind will work in a healthy manner to grasp and realize what you are concentrating on. So, according to Yoga Sutra, they have used the word Kaya Sampatti or physical strength. That is to be manifested by Roop, the physical form, Lavanya, that is radiance, brilliance, Bal, that is strength, Samanatva, and Vajra, invulnerability of a diamond. In other words, our physique must be sound before we can adopt or we can proceed to higher stages of meditation and contemplation. That is how the Yoga Sutra defines the purpose of physical development. Health is wholeness, wholeness meaning that every side of our nature should be actually developed. The physical dimension of yoga, we all know, and it has been said, it has been highlighted so much. We have been told, Sharir Madhyam Khalu Dharma Sadhanam. This body, Kaya, is the mean to attain spiritual realization or glorification. But everything depends. Even Adi Shankar has said that this world, this body, helps you to attain moksha. Etymologically, the word yoga, there is no need to discuss this, but I find it very interesting and very, very pregnant expression. It is derived from the Sanskrit word yujir, meaning to unite or integrate diverse elements. So, this union of integration of Atma, consciousness with the cosmic or divine supreme, that is Paramatma. When you are able to integrate Atma with Paramatma, and this cannot come suddenly. It tapa swadhyaya, tap, lot of effort, industry, concentration, intense pursuit. We know, and Advaitvad says it in such precise and emphatic terms. Swami Vivekananda says, my mission can be put into very simple words. I want to teach unto mankind their divinity. He did not say that I want to make people divine. He says divinity is inherent in every being. They are not conscious of it. Not aware of it. So he says, I want to teach. He did not say, I want to teach unto Indians. He said, I want to teach unto mankind their divinity and its manifestation in all movements of life. So if that divinity dwells in everybody, Deho Devalaya Prokto Jivo Deva Sadashiva. If that divinity resides in each one of us, where it is, why it is missed, why we are not able to see it, experience it. Here I am not quoting anybody, therefore my expression may be faulty, but I feel, based on my studies, that the nature has created in a manner where this divinity, this Param Tattva, it lies buried in our inner being under the layers of Aham. Brahm lies buried under the layers of Aham. What is tapasya? Tapasya is, and this is not one or two layers, innumerable layers. So what tapasya is? Tapasya is when you are able to concentrate and succeed in removing the layers of ahem, ego, one by one by one by one. And then that Param Tattva comes out. For that tapasya, first thing is physical fitness. Second thing is contemplation. In fact, Swami Vivekananda says, he uses the term yoga, not for asanas, not just for contemplation. He says, this is the whole of dharma. Yoga is whole of dharma. And we must never forget that the highest Indian ideal, highest Sanatan ideal is ekatmata. Like I mentioned, the two national ideals, even the aim of those two ideals is to attain the status of ekatmata. What is ekatmata? Somebody asked this, normally, even among our 6 schools of philosophy, there is one school of philosophy which subscribes to this view which I am going to talk about. Normally, generally, people believe that the purpose of life is pursuit of happiness. When this question was raised before Swami Vivekananda, he said, the purpose of life cannot be pursuit of happiness. Because if that is the summum and bonum of the life, I am powerful. Who will prevent me from making others unhappy in order to secure more happiness for myself? This is what we have seen all over the world. What was colonization about? Why we had the invaders? Because human nature is such, we can't live in isolation. But when a society is formed, then human nature is such that we want to dominate, we try to dominate over others. And this is not only a societal problem, it is an intra-society problem also. How the civilization and the cultures of the world were defined. the color of our skin is same, therefore we are one people. Why? We can't live in isolation. We need a group of people. What should be the basis of unity? The basis of unity is that the color of your skin and my skin is same. What about those whose color is not same? They are others. If they are others, we have a wish to dominate over them. We are one society. Why? Because we speak one language. What about others? They are others. Lower beings. And we have a right to exploit them. You and me, we share the same religious belief. We belong to the born, not belong. People are born into faith tradition. We have been born into the same faith tradition and we give expression to our faith in the similar manner. Therefore, we are one. What about those who do not belong to this tradition? They are others. Somebody used the word pagan for them. Somebody used the word infidel for them. Somebody used the word kafir for them. Somebody used the word milage for them. But they are others. And the moment there is other, you feel, I have a right to, if I can, I will dominate over the other. If I can, I shall exploit the other to my advantage. I am not exonerating our society from many wrongs which we have committed. But there is nothing wrong with our foundational virtues. The Indian culture and civilization has not been defined either by color of the skin or by the faith tradition or by the language. It has been defined by Atma. Practically, we might have committed blunders. But ideologically, our thought leaders, they said, we cannot adopt these variable and alienable characteristics which are associated with birth to define our civilization. Rather, we will use inalienable and invariable characteristic, that is Atma, to define our civilization. Therefore, although India was fragmented into small political units, even at the time of independence, other than the British India, we had more than 567 princely states. How come we so easily became one political unit and one nation? It was, think about it. For thousands of years, we were divided into different political units. After 1947, we have totally integrated. Can it happen suddenly? Certainly not. The political fragmentation could not stop, never affected the spiritual and cultural unity of India. And that spiritual and cultural unity has a continuity which other cultures do not have. Why? Because it did not use any exclusive characteristic to define itself. It used all-inclusive characteristic, that is Atma. Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi, Prajnanam Brahma, Ayam Atma Brahma. We often hear Shankaracharya went round the country. He established 4 muths when India was fragmented, and he established unity. Sir, buildings do not establish unity. Monuments of mind are durable, monuments of power are not durable. Go to Delhi, old fort is there. Everybody believes that it was built by Maya, the architect, the Asur architect of the Pandavas. it lies in ruins if Government of India does not spend crores every year. That place will not be worth a visit. But at the same time, Bhagwan Krishna had given a message to Arjun, which was product of mind. Not a comma has changed in that book. Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore said, India cannot attain true independence unless it is recognized that her foundation is in mind, which with its diverse powers and confidence in those powers goes on all the time creating Swaraj for itself. Civilizational growth, cultural growth, growth of human resources, this is not a one-time event. Not even political independence is a one-time event. This is a continuous process. We have to be awake, we have to be steadfast, we have to be vigilant. Then only, you know why India suffered? Even before medieval times, India was recognized as knowledge hub. The Arab historians, Europe was, Renaissance had not even taken off. Europe was living in dark ages. But Middle East, Baghdad had become center of intellectual activities. And the 9th and 10th century or 11th century Arab historians, what they have written, each one of them, right from Tabari to Ibn Khaldun, they have, each one of them has written history of the world. Somebody has 8 volumes, somebody has 9 volumes, somebody has 11 volumes. And each one of them says, there are 5 great civilizations in the world. The Persian civilization is known for its majesty. Chinese for their craftsmanship and obedience to the rulers. Romans for their beauty and chivalry. And Turks for their bravery. Indian civilization is the only civilization which promotes knowledge and civilization. Therefore, it is knowledge civilization. Despite being knowledge civilization, history has been very cruel to us. Why history has been cruel to us? If I quote Swami Ranganathananda, he says that we were a knowledge civilization. And knowledge means not only tapa, swadhyay, niritam, ever devoted to the pursuit of knowledge, but knowledge tradition also means, in Upanishad this question has been raised, what is tapa? And the answer given by the Rishi is, tapa is swadhyay, acquisition of knowledge, plus pirvachan, that is dissemination of knowledge. So Swami Ranganathananda says in his book Eternal Values for a Changing Society, he says that we possibly continued the first part, but we became totally oblivious to the duty which was cast on us to spread the knowledge among the masses. Rather, we denied access to knowledge to our masses. And then he quotes from Srimad Bhagavad, Saraswati Gyan Khalv Yatha Sati, a scholar who imprisons her or his knowledge inside self is not a worshipper of Ma Saraswati. That person is a villain of Saraswati. I am so happy that I am here at this place, Kaivalyadhama, who are doing this great work for last 100 years. They are carrying this knowledge to the ordinary people, masses. Sir, this is not only a noble venture which you are continuing, this is also an expiation for the wrongs which our earlier generations had done. So I congratulate you for that. I think I have already taken up. Already. That is the problem with politicians. Although I am no more politician, I am in a different. So therefore I would like to. Sorry? Continue. Okay. Don't take the risk. Don't invite problem. So, but here, sir, I have absolutely no doubt that yoga must be integrated into school education. And I think under our new educational policy, there is lot of scope for it. Lot of scope for it. But as I said earlier, at the children level, the emphasis naturally will be for physical fitness. But ultimately, it should lead to ripening into wisdom. And since this institution is more than 100 years old, and this is a leading institution which has been praised in the Constituent Assembly. Oh, everyone who comes in the category of who is who, they come here and they heap praises on you. Therefore, I would request you, you take the lead. There are many other yoga institutions also in the country. Try to coordinate their activities so that we can have it can become a major influence in our lives. Secondly, this is not for the first time here. Few months back, I spoke at Gita Dharma Society in Pune. If I don't remember the name correctly, please forgive me. The society which was founded by Lokmanya Tilak. They had also completed their 100 years. They invited me. And despite my reluctance, they insisted I went there and spoke. And I said there that I wish we can do something where, because India, in any case, India is not a country of religion. Dharma does not mean religion. Dharma is something totally different. This is a wrong translation. Therefore, if somehow we succeed in removing these religious labels from this heritage of wisdom, whether it is Gita or it is yoga, this is our cultural heritage. And this is nothing but pure wisdom. Then I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that this will not remain a subject or book in which only people in India will be interested, the whole world will be interested in this. Today, look around, look at the world today. It is because, now rules have changed, laws have changed. No religion had the concept of universal human rights. India fortunately did not have a religion, it had dharma, therefore it had the concept of, it had a universal vision. Ayam nich paroveti ganda laghu cheta samudar charita nam tu vasudev kutumbakam. Not just that, Pashand negam shreni puga virat kuladishu sanrakchet sabyam raja durge janpade tatha. The books which we call scripture, they tell us that whether it is a believer in the Vedas or it is a non-believer in the Vedas or maybe anybody, Pashan, Negam, Shireni, anybody. It is the duty of the government to provide equal protection to everybody. This is Indian heritage. But somehow, because we had lost our independence, therefore we thought maybe we can also put religious labels on our things. If any label is to be put there, it is the label of wisdom. Our rishis had devoted their lives to experience these truths. And in India, we do not have the concept, ancient India, we did not have the concept of copyright. What they said we have not created these laws, which we call Sanatan laws. We have merely found them to be the natural laws. Therefore, we have no copyright over them. So I hope, in order to look at the world. Sometimes it appears as if we are heading towards the third world war. And today humanity is armed with the advances which have been made in science and technology. You have the power today. The nuclear arsenal of one country alone is enough to destroy all mankind. Why it is happening? Despite having the United Nations Charter of Human Rights, our DNA is influenced by our old thinking that there are others. India is the only civilization which does not have the concept of other. In fact, not only human beings. Look at the old democracies. They did notice they are much older than us. We are an ancient civilization but a young republic. There are other democracies. They did not give voting right to women. They had to struggle for decades, for centuries. In India, we had only 17% literacy, and we gave the universal franchise. Why? Because our leaders were better than other leaders? No, human beings are all alike. Their culture allowed them to make the distinction. Indian culture did not allow our leader to make the distinction between the two. Not only between man and woman, but we see Atma even in this tree. We see Atma even in the dog. We see Atma. Vidya, Vinay, Sampanne, Brahmine, Gavi, Hastini, Shuni, Chaib, Shwa Pake, Cha Pandita, Samdarshina. We have to see everybody. Europeans believed till last century, they believed that women and black people do not have soul, they do not have Atma. Therefore, we can exploit them. Our culture does not allow us to exploit even animals. I hope we become, as our Prime Minister has said, we become more aware of our culture. We have more respect for our culture. And the respect can be shown only if we translate these cultural values into practice. And then India can not only help itself, but can show the way to the whole world. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.